believe we did it. Thank you all for praying with me that this would go without a glitch. And welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome to the second day. This year, the angels have told me to do a teaching about the 7 rays of divine light. And I was so happy when they said that because I love working with the rays energy. Last month was the very first one, the blue ray, and we talked about how we incarnate into a ray when we come into a human experience. Doesn't mean that that's the only ray you're going to go into in your life. You can go into any of these rays at any given time. But it's fun to figure out, where did I come in? When I incarnated, where was I deciding to learn a lesson, and what are the lessons from that particular ray? So tonight we're going to delve into that second ray, the yellow gold ray, and so happy to be presenting this. I'm giving it a few minutes to show up online before we really get into the teaching part of it. So you had a choice. You could either come onto the Zoom call where you're right here in that energy, or you can watch it being live streamed on Enlightened World Network, which is, I have it up on my phone, so I'll know as soon as it pops up, and I'll know that we can get going with the teaching portion. But if you're not familiar with Enlightened World Network, I encourage you to check that out on both Facebook and YouTube. There's a lot of programming that happens. There's meditations every day. There's all kinds of teachings. There's yoga. So it might be something that you'd be interested in looking at with your spiritual practice repertoire. And you can tune in to any of the recordings on YouTube. You can go find those on there. I'm not seeing that we're streaming just yet, so not sure what the holdup is. Oh, there we are. We are on. All right, so now let's get with it. Get with the program, as I like to say. So what I'd like for you to do first is to do a little heart-brain coherence. The reason I do that at the beginning of anything I'm teaching or leading is because when we reach that place of coherence between our heart and our brain, there's something that clicks and something that happens. We go into a higher brain state. And in that higher brain state, you can retain what you have learned. You can remember words that were said or phrases, and it'll click a memory for you. So let's do it together. There's 3 steps. The first step is to touch your heart center. So when you place your hand over your heart, that brings your focus to the heart. And then you slow down the breathing. That's the second step. So breathe in, fill the lungs completely, and breathe back out. We're going to do that again. You're going to feel your body start to relax with that breath that comes in. And when you release the breath, just let go of anything from your day, anything that you've been focused on so far, and be very present right here in this moment so we can learn together and have a discussion together about what we're learning, these rays of energy. And then the last thing, the third part of the heart-brain coherence, is to add in love. Add in something that makes your heart happy. What makes you full of joy? Is it maybe a person, an animal, a place? Maybe it's a scenery that you can call to mind. I always love to think about a beautiful sunrise or sunset, or the beautiful Rocky Mountains, one of my favorite places. I always like to go there and just pull that energy right into my heart. So when we do this 3-step process, it's so easy then to just feel connected, because our brain has lifted upward, and we know that now we're in a learning mode. We can be just very full of potential, and when we learn, we're going to retain it. All right, so thank you for doing that with me. That will help you to remember what we talked about with the yellow golden ray. I like to call it the golden ray. I mean, yeah, it's yellow gold, but for me, it's more that deeper energy. Like if you're looking at me on the screen, it's where it says angelspeakers.com. That type of energy is what I feel. And I am a gold ray. So that's the one that has been very present in my life. I did make a little teaching PowerPoint, so I'm going to share that now. Let's see if it's giving me my share options. Yes, it did. I'm so grateful. Everything is working with ease and grace tonight. You know, we've been through a time of Mercury retrograde. It could still be, I don't know. But now it seems like it's all in the flow. All right, so these are those divine rays of light that we're delving into. And my question is, why? Why are we learning about these rays of light? What does it matter? What difference will it make in our lives? Socrates said, "Man, know thyself." How many times have you had questions and you didn't really know how you felt about it or what you thought or why you were even having those thoughts? Well, when we study ourselves and the world around us, we get a better understanding of our purpose, of why we're here, what we're doing, some of the things that we decided before we even incarnated that we wanted to figure out in this lifetime for our soul growth. That's why we want to know ourselves. And also, as we advance in our spirituality and our human beingness, we can ask ourselves, do I want to better myself in this life and in the next? Do I want to be a better human? When we learn about things such as this ray, especially, we're going to see that this ray can help us with that. It can help us be a better human. This ray is one of the most nurturing and transformative spiritual energies that we can work with because it teaches us something that we're all still learning and trying to get a grasp on, how to balance love with wisdom. So the seven rays, what are they exactly? They are streams of divine consciousness. We call them divine light, which light will, you can say that's a consciousness. And the belief is that we incarnated into one main ray, one premier, and that's the one that's guiding us the most in this lifetime. You can go into, like I said, any of the rays at any given moment and learn from that particular ray. So each ray carries a specific spiritual quality that influences our personality, our soul purpose, and our spiritual evolution. There's a color for each ray, and we're going to go over all seven of them. We did the first ray last month, the ray of divine will, and that was a very interesting ray to delve into, and I had so many comments afterward. I'm a Blu-ray. I knew I was a Blu-ray. And I love that. I love when you can be enlightened by what's going on in your world. The second ray, the one we're going to talk about tonight, is the ray of love and wisdom. And we're going to see that we can balance that. We can help that to come into balance with this second ray of light, that golden ray. So what exactly is it? It's known as the golden ray of divine will and power, representing leadership, courage, faith, and purpose. And what we find in this ray is that love alone, when we focus on that, it can sometimes lead us to an imbalance. And we'll talk about that. Our need to sometimes rescue others, fix others, make everything right. Anybody relate to that? And sometimes as we're focused outward on how we can fix something, we forget about our own self. And so we find ourselves struggling then, because I've heard over and over again light workers say, but I give so much and I help so much. Why am I going through the challenges I'm going through? So it could be that imbalance of too much giving or too much wanting to fix something instead of bringing in the wisdom. And wisdom alone can sometimes make us feel distant, analytical, or detached if we don't pull in that love part of it. So there has to be a balance. And that's what happens in the yellow ray. When these two energies come together, they create something very powerful. They create compassion, guided by understanding. And that is the essence of the golden ray. It helps awaken that compassion and the understanding. It bridges the heart and the solar plexus. And then it pulls those up to the brain. So we have that coherent state of always feeling in that balance between love and understanding and compassion. So what are some of the qualities? Well, compassion, number one, compassionate leadership, just compassion in your life, spiritual maturity, wisdom, calmness, unconditional love. And the one I'm blocking, because, and there's a reason for that, because sometimes even when we work on ourselves over and over and over again, and we're in that ray energy, there's still some struggle to get the one thing that gives us the most trouble in our human experience: patience. I know many, many times I've said, God, give me patience for what I'm going through. And so this is something that also, when you're in that balanced state of love and wisdom, you find that patience comes more easily. So before we get into who's guiding us, let's talk a little more about this ray and what it represents. It's often described as the teacher's ray. Its color is the golden yellow, symbolizing illumination, insight, and spiritual understanding. It teaches us how to listen more deeply, respond with patience, and see beyond the surface behavior. It teaches us how to guide without trying to control. It's the energy that sits behind great teachers, healers, counselors, peacemakers. None of those force change. None of those, if they're a real teacher or healer or counselor or peacemaker, try to make you think the way they think or do what they do. They give you opportunities to explore and to examine. So there's no change that can come by force, because we can't change another being. We can only change ourselves and live by example. So the gold rays help others grow through that compassion and understanding. So now we want to talk about who guides us. Each ray is guided by an ascended master and an angel. So our ascended master is Master Kuthumi. I'm going to talk about him first. And the archangel is Archangel Jophiel. And Jophiel, I've done teachings on her last year when we delved into the angels. Such a beautiful angel that's so helpful. But first, let's learn about Kuthumi. Maybe you haven't heard that name. Maybe you don't know anything about this ascended master. And if you don't understand what an ascended master is, this is someone who has incarnated into a human being, and many times they keep incarnating, they keep learning, they keep ascending and doing their soul growth work until they become an enlightened soul. So ascended masters are enlightened, and there's no need for them to come back into a human incarnation. They're able to teach us and help us and lead us from the spirit realm. Kuthumi represents the balance between the heart and the mind. His teachings remind us that wisdom is not simply knowledge, it's the ability to see through the eyes of compassion. I want you to remember those words. Wisdom is the ability to see life through the eyes of compassion. He teaches that spiritual maturity comes when we move beyond judgment and begin to understand the deeper reasoning behind human behavior. All right, so I'm going to skip this and come back to it because I want to do Kuthumi first. So Ascended Master Kuthumi, he is the Chohan. A Chohan is like the head honcho. He's the one that's in charge, and that being in charge doesn't mean that he wields a gavel or anything. He just helps us to understand it more fully. These ascended masters, as I said, are enlightened beings, and they've had different incarnations. So what was Kuthumi in some of his lifetimes? It's believed that Kuthumi was a pharaoh, a prophet, and a high priest in Egypt, which makes sense given his compassionate side and his wisdom. He incarnated as Pythagoras, the son of Apollo, and Pythagoras was extremely wise. He was St. Francis of Assisi. If you know anything about St. Francis, he loved animals, children. He had such a compassionate heart that he was able to really guide people and lead people, and he was beloved as that saint. Balthasar, who was the wise man who brought the treasure of his realm, the gift of frankincense, to the Christ child. He was the Shah Jahan of India, and in that lifetime, he was married, and the Taj Mahal was built as a tomb for his wife. I didn't know that until I did my research, and now I really want to go back to India and see the Taj Mahal and sit in that energy and explore it more with Kuthumi. And then he was also a Kashmiri Brahmin in India named Kuthumi Lal Singh. So I think that's the one that sticks with his ascended master name of Kuthumi. His energy feels like warm golden sunlight. He is a wise mentor, a patient spiritual professor, a compassionate elder. There's a calm authority about him, not a force. Again, we're not changed by force, we're changed by love and compassion. So one of the greatest lessons in this ray under the guidance of Kuthumi is learning how to respond with compassion rather than reaction. Just think right now about a moment or moments when somebody has, as we say, pushed your button. Maybe somebody was doing something that irritated you or frustrated you, made you feel hurt or angry. The immediate instinct as a human is to defend, right? To react emotionally. But in the second ray, under the beautiful guidance of Kuthumi and Jophiel, we're encouraged to pause. And I'm giggling a little bit inside because this is one of the things that I teach to every time I teach, every person I teach how to pause. Just envision you can hit the pause button on what's going on, that person that upset you or that experience you went through that was so challenging. So instead of the knee-jerk reaction, maybe saying something you don't really want to say, you can't take words back, you can ask yourself, what might this person be experiencing? What might they be going through right now that I'm not aware of? What pain, fear might be behind their behavior? And when we stop and ask those questions, that's compassion. It really is. That's saying, I know that you are in a human body and you're probably going through challenges right now and experiences that are creating that energy of anger or bullying or whatever it might be. So when we pause long enough to just ask, how can I love this person? How can I respond to them in a loving way? Not a way that's going to try to fix them, not in a way that's going to push them further back into that feeling that nobody cares. We can't fix someone's problem. But the most loving response is to allow them to learn from their own experience. And so sometimes that loving response is just to be there for them, not to blast them with anger or to fall apart emotionally, but to just recognize that I can love this person even though I'm not liking what they're saying to me right now. So people in this golden ray can do that. You can pause for that moment. You can see that person's energy and you can respond in a loving manner instead of something that might not be so loving. You can listen deeply without judgment. You can try to bring in harmony to the situation. And eventually, maybe they will get to a point where they'll want to explore their experience with you and find out why you treated them with respect and honor. So it's a teaching moment, really, when we come across a challenge in our life or a challenging person. And you can actually say and ask yourself, what would love, guided by wisdom, choose in this moment? I love this question. When we're standing there on that precipice and we have a choice to make of how we're going to respond or react to someone, just hit that pause button. What would love, guided by wisdom, choose in this moment? That's a really transformative question, because when we are coming from an emotionally intelligent place of knowing that we can do that, we have the ability to do that, to make a choice in that direction, then wow, that's a big wow. We are finding ourselves evolving more in our spiritual path when we can react in that way, instead of the thought that, blowing this person off or don't want to interact with them anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with them. I'm cutting them out of my life. It really is a teaching moment for us to learn from. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Jophiel before we do that. Archangel Jophiel. So hopefully you were able to understand Kathumi's energy. Let me just go there first before I jump along. I was just looking at the time. So if you have questions about Kathumi, one of the things I'm going to send to you when I do a follow-up email is a message from Kathumi. And it's a beautiful message. It's a channeled message that just helps us to understand more of his wisdom, his compassion, and how he wants us all to love and to think as we're loving, to be more wise in the way we live our life, and be more aligned with what spiritual energy is all about in whatever ray we're in. All right, so now let's move on to Archangel Jophiel. Jophiel's name means the beauty of God. or divine illumination. And she does carry the golden yellow flame of divine love, also with the wisdom and illumination of the mind. Jophiel's energy is very, very high vibrating energy. When she, and I say she because that's how she presents to me, she might come to you as a male, because angels are neither male or female. They come to us in a way we can resonate with them. So in this energy that she brings forth, she's the one that teaches us that wisdom without love becomes cold, and love without wisdom becomes ungrounded. In the second ray, the golden ray, we learn to balance both of those. She assists us with clearing negative thought patterns. You know, one of the things that she's known for is to help us declutter. So if you find something that's in your thought patterns, that's a habit that you've gotten into of immediately going to the negative, or maybe it just creeps in there as you're processing things, you can ask Jophiel to help you declutter negative energy out of your thoughts. She helps to expand spiritual understanding. She helps us develop discernment and to open our heart gently, teaching with compassion and seeing truth through the lens of love, bringing beauty into environments and relationships. Many times, the ones that call on her are the teachers, the counselors, the healers, the spiritual leaders. I call on Jophiel a lot. I work with her energy, and I ask for her help to help me to find exactly what it is, to wade through all of the possibilities and find the one thing that I need to focus on. So she can help you get very laser focused. If you're in a business, maybe you're an entrepreneur, she can help you get your business laser focused. So she's a good one to call on if that's the case and you want to be lifted up more with her energy. So let's have an invocation to this wonderful angel and bring her right in here into the room with us. You can either leave your eyes open or you can close them as we invoke the energy of Archangel Jophiel. Just breathe. Beloved Jophiel, illuminate my mind with divine wisdom. Soften my heart with compassionate love. Help me to see clearly. Help me to respond gently with compassion. And let my words teach through kindness. So I invite you to feel Jophiel's presence. We're going to do a short meditation in just a bit, and we're going to call in both Jophiel and Cthulhu. But for this invocation, just see if you feel any difference in the energy in the room now that we have invited her to be present with us. All right, so what are the qualities of the golden ray? We talked last week about the fact that we have a soul ray, which is where we incarnated. We came into a certain ray when we came into a human being. And that is our higher purpose. That's our soul learning and growing in that soul ray. We also have a personality ray, which is how we behave in the world. So many times you may have incarnated into, let's say, a blue ray, but you're exhibiting the personality traits of a gold ray. And so that's the thing that happens as we go through life. We might have a lesson that would be more prone to help if we jumped into a gold ray and we found more love and compassion in our lives. This ray is called the ray of wisdom because of that characteristic desire for knowledge and absolute truth blended with love. That's the balance. As I mentioned before, the heart and the solar plexus are the chakras that you'll find more attuned to this ray. And if you're a Gemini, a Virgo, or a Pisces, those are the ones that came into the Earth planet at a specific date and time, and that is your ray. That's your soul ray. See if it resonates. See if the things that you're learning here resonate. And in the meditation time, you'll have a chance to talk with Kuthumi and with Jophiel and just ask that question if you're not sure yet. So some of the special virtues of this ray: calmness, strength, patience and endurance, the love of truth, faithfulness, intuition, clear intelligence, and a serene temper. It doesn't mean that you can't be a gold ray if you have the tendency to have a temper that flares up, because trust me, I have had that in my life. We're human, right? We're learning, and that's the thing. This doesn't mean that you're going to have all of these qualities and these virtues, but that's why we're in this ray, is to learn those things. So what are some of the vices of a gold ray? Over-absorption in study, coldness, indifference to others, and contempt of mental limitations in others. Maybe we get a little impatient when someone can't grasp something or understand fully the lesson. Maybe we spend too much time on book learning and not enough time on experience. So these are some of the things that can get us out of balance. And this ray is always striving to bring us back into balance. So the virtues that we want to acquire and that we can acquire in this gold ray is love, compassion, unselfishness, and how to work with our energy. We are energy beings. We are pure energy. All right, so when do you call on the gold ray? Anytime you want to, but especially maybe there's some habits that you want to get rid of. Jophiel is really good at helping us to look at our habits and see if maybe we can release them with love. Maybe you need to get clarity on thought patterns. Call on the gold ray during meditation and say, you know, I need some of that compassion and love right now. Let's go into that type of meditation. Clearing ancestral programming, and this is something I've worked with a lot as a gold ray, is doing generational healings. Balancing masculine and feminine energies. And I think it's so interesting that we have Master Kuthumi and Archangel Jophiel, the masculine and the feminine, working together with us. Maybe you just need to release heavy feelings, stress, or third-dimensional energetic imprints. Any of these things are a reason to call on that gold ray energy and learn more about it and how it can be helpful to you. So as a daily practice, you can visualize gold light around your body. You can speak words such as this affirmation: I walk in divine love and compassion. And make it a daily habit to be focused in on your ray. If this is your ray that you came into being, into this planet, under the gold ray, then work with that energy. See yourself enveloped in that gold energy. So now let's do an activation to this gold ray energy, to Kuthumi and Jophiel, and invite you to just be fully present. Sometimes that means that we have to shut out things around us. We do that by closing the eyes. You don't have to. There's no have-tos here. But when we close our eyes, we become more present. And then breathe. Breathe in deeply. Breathe into your lungs, just like we did at the beginning. A slow breath in and a slow breath out. Imagine above your head there's a radiant golden sun. Feel the warmth of it on your face. This sun represents the second ray of love and wisdom. And there's a stream of golden light that begins to flow down from this sun As it gently enters your crown chakra on top of your head, feel it now. Feel that gold energy, warm, inviting. Just let that flow all the way down to your heart. In your heart, it expands out. It goes beyond your human body. It can't be contained because it's so big. So it comes out into your aura. Allow the compassion to fill your chest like sunlight. And say to yourself, I embody divine love guided by wisdom. I embody this divine love which is guided by wisdom. Now let that golden light expand outward from your heart. Let it gently surround you, the room that you're in, the home that you're in. Let it expand outside, touching the very earth that your house is built on. Let's give that love and that compassion to our Earth Mother. See the whole earth around you changing into a golden glow. And it keeps spreading. It keeps going into the streams, into the rivers, into the lakes, into the oceans, until there's a golden glow all around this planet Earth. And now envision Ascended Master Kuthumi and Archangel Jophiel standing right beside of you, looking at all of this beautiful gold energy, seeing how that came from the divine through you and out into the world. Sit with these two beautiful guides right now. Master Kuthumi speaking of wisdom, speaking of the power that comes through wisdom. When you tune into your solar plexus, know that you are worthy, know that you are loved. Archangel Jophiel, ready and willing to help with anything in your life that you want to change, that you want to move into a higher dimension of understanding with. Maybe it's habits. Maybe you just need more love and compassion. So right now, I'm just going to give a couple of minutes to sitting with these masters and with this archangel. And you can ask the question, is this my ray? Is this where I belong in this lifetime to really learn the lesson that I came here to learn? Is this my soul ray? Or am I here learning a specific lesson? So take your time right now with these two energies. Ask the questions. When we ask, we will receive answers. Okay, let's take a breath and bring your awareness now back to where we are. And just take time for you to process what you've learned here. Process if there was any answer that came forward from meeting with these two masters. And ask yourself maybe, where do I need more compassion in my life? How can I lead more with love? What truth am I willing and ready to speak? So as you move through this next week, I invite you to practice working consciously with this ray. If a challenging moment comes up, hit the pause button, take a breath, and ask that question, what would love, guided by wisdom, choose? You know, the more we practice doing this, stepping back, taking our time before responding or reacting, it does become a habit. It does become something that transforms us when we go about life in that way. We find ourselves being more gentle, more compassionate, more loving to everyone. So in closing, may the gold ray guide your steps. May you walk in strength, in love, and divine purpose. You can reach me at angelspeakers.com. I want to thank each one who was here. I do send out a follow-up to these teachings. If you are not getting them, but you would like to, just let me know. You can send me a message on angelspeakers.com. Let's see, I need to stop the share, don't I? Let's see. I'm a little stuck here. Just a moment. I'll find it. Trying to get to the gallery. There we are. Well, I cannot see a stop share. That's usually what I have to hit to get back onto the live stream. Sue, any suggestions?
I can stop the live
Oh,
stream.
wait. I found the I found the button. It was hidden. All right. So as I said, angelspeakers.com, you can send me a message there. You can send me a message to Teri at angelspeakers.com and let me know that you would like to have some of the follow-up material that I send out. What I like to send are reflections, some things that you can look at and say, okay, I learned about this. Let me see if I can explore it more fully. There's some journaling that can be done. It's a little workbook that goes along with the teaching, as well as a condensed version of what was learned here today. So we're going to go offline and have a little discussion here amongst ourselves. But if you ever want to do that, the Zoom link is available each month. You can come in because we do stay just for a few minutes and get any comments, any questions afterward. If you have questions, type them in the comments if you're watching this online, or reach out to me and ask. And I want to thank Enlightened World Network. I want to thank Sue Seekoff and Dr. Ruth Anderson for giving us this platform to do the teaching every month. Thank you so much. And again, if you're not subscribed and tuning into them, I encourage you to do so. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us tonight. I'm going to go off of the live stream and we are going to have a conscious conversation about